I'm sure that was I and many others' reactions when we, yes we, heard the intro kicking with the sax. It was absolute peak. I'll never forget the day. In 2021? When I clicked on one of my favorite YouTubers' accounts, shout out to Cub Scouts, who's that dude by the way, and saw the title of something called Danganronpa. I knew that from this day on, this series would be my new latest obsession to date. But more specifically, the soundtrack itself. You see, this game is more so known for the visual novel style and more than questionable characters at times. Like, very questionable.
As young as possible.
Like, yo, what the fuck? But what initially drew me in at the time was the balance between hope and despair in sound form, Ultra HD. You could hear the stark difference between tracks like Beautiful Lie and Beautiful Morning, BTB, Super BTB, and I think the other one's called, Super Final BTB. I remember there was a time where Box 16 was new to me, and the shreds of the electric guitars, we figured out who Mukuro really was. Mwah! Chef's kiss. Absolutely exhilarating. Or hearing the tense suspense of closing argument as you piece together the puzzle of the killer. Beautiful. All these tracks led up to me breaking down and explaining the absolute genius of Danganronpa's sound design. Thank you so much for sticking around so far, and I hope you like this video as much as I enjoyed making it. Let's get into it. Let's start with an oldie but a goldie. From the first time you boot up this game, you're met with a stripped down version of the absolute banger of the original intro. From what I've seen, you can see a randomized selection of classmates every time you boot up the game, from Mondo to Junko to even Miss Toko. The music settles you in just right as you select your difficulty and start your life as the absolute ultimate GOAT.
Looking cool, Joker!
Mr. Naegi. It's bare bones, but gets the job done. And honestly, it's great to use as a little background filler. Box 15. What do I have to say about this one? One of the most greatest complimentary background tracks known to this series. I always play it when I'm on the hunt investigating my AP work, and when we had phones in school. Best believe this was playing in the hallways. I hate my governor for banning the phones, by the way, but I'm getting off track. It starts off slow and steady with the little 1-2 beats, and then kicks on to the whole chorus, or should I say the ensemble of instruments consisting of xylophones and different types of drums. And surprisingly, no synths in this song, just trumpets, brass, and blare. I absolutely love the sort of hollow feeling you get from this track, because you know you're not going anywhere. You already tried that. But one thing you can guarantee is the fact that, wait, what's that noise? Is that an electric guitar? Yo, wait, what the fuck? You can't just cut me off like I'm literally...
Mukuro Ikusaba. Mukuro Ikusaba, the 16th student, lying hidden somewhere in this school. The one they call the ultimate despair. Watch out for her.
Oh, sorry about that technical difficulty right there. I just had the overwhelming urge to talk about the ultimate soldier, femme fatale, main mystery of chapter 5, and the other side of the coin of the despair duo, Mukuro Ikusaba. But before that, we have a bit of an intervention from the god of Gungnir. Help to me, godly spear, Gungnir. Yeah. This wasn't really supposed to happen, now was it? Well, disregarding that, I really loved practically everything about chapter 5 into the transition into the end game, and really starting to put a highlight on how sick and absolutely f***ing twisted this game is, if you haven't already figured that out at this time. Yeah.
Okay,
but
love you guys.
What I love about Box 16 specifically as a track is that it adds a new shred, a new sound, and a new layer to the already existing bop of Box 15 as itself. I mean, just absolutely shredding, sickening in the best way possible. So, Masafumi Takada, I hope you get a nice heavy tax return in the next season, if they have that wherever you're living. I don't know, but send all the best out of luck to him. Etsy witches, do your thing. I know this chapter is about discovering that there's another student on campus, but Junko narratively and sonically just overshadows her sister in every way. So I'd like to go over her a little bit here to really just like give her the attention she 100% deserves. I know that there's that whole thing with her being a bit incestuous with her sister. I'm just gonna chalk it up to like really bad writing and how rushed the anime was. They didn't get to really like go into depth into really any of the sisters, apart from the face value and what they're played for, which is a good part in focusing that. But I really feel like that if I'm a newcomer and I'm just seeing the random girl who's blown up on the floor of smithereens, I'd probably have to go check out the manga. But I feel like maybe the anime could have touched a little bit more on her, but she's cool. She's cool. Now on to the next one. It's punishment time. If you haven't already seen that video on YouTube talking about how Lady Gaga, yes, the Gaga herself, sampled one of the execution songs, or should I say the main execution song being this one, you can literally hear the African chanting royalty-free sound effects
that you have.
I went down that pipeline.
Where did
And
it come
it is very interesting to see how this game samples stuff, mixes it, and remixes it. Really fits the theme of human sacrifice.
Rise and shine, Ursa.
Or should I say the greater cause being hope. Rest in peace, Jin Kirigiri. You will be missed. For some fire ass execution music, should I say it that?
Hello, Moto.
Okay, I don't know if I can get copyrighted for this, but it's honestly worth the strike. This intro is absolute gas. The despair arc, for something so dreadful and despair-inducing. The intro somehow captivated my heart and my OST/background music playlist. Kame e wo awase, if I'm even pronouncing that right, is performed by the Japanese group Binaria. For the sake of time, I'm going to do a quick speed run of all the trivia of how the intro changes over time. The colors of all the backgrounds over time go from a pastel, light, and pink colors to muted dark and greenish colors. All the students' eyes become red. Hiyoko Saionji appears to be taller. Peko Shinai's changed to a katana. Hajime starts to fade into the hair of Yuzuru. Chiaki is a silhouette in the first opening, but then becomes fully visible in the second opening. It smiles in the third. Speaking of Chiaki, even though that Chiaki seems to be the DR3 real Chiaki, she most definitely showed that she didn't want her sword to be over. But hey, a little retcon never hurt anyone. Long live Chiaki.
I hope you brought some fire for the theme song. You usually always do, but give it to me. Okay. Oh shit. Hold up, bro. Is that Ruben Studdard? Oh my gosh, bro. That
so much soul for a Danganronpa intro. Funky and infused with the soul of Kurokuma.
Damn, even someone extremely good at talking like me is already tired out from running
By
my
the way,
yap.
can we talk about how the family reunion is going to look like? That's actually going to be low-key insane. You can definitely tell that the Mono Cubs, and especially Monosuke, have a bit of Kurokuma in them, based on their theme, to be honest, and their personalities a little bit. When they pop up, which, by the way, this theme definitely has some ska influence. It's so jazzy. Mono Fanny definitely has a bit of Usami in her, and Monotaro definitely has been spending a little bit of time around Shirokuma at the family reunion. It's kind of cute. On the topic of the UDG theme song, which is this one, there's a couple of variations, with 002 being my favorite. It's hella jazzy, but nothing beats the OG. Take it away, Berlizzi.
Yeah, hit or miss, trying to get a kiss. Wait, it's my first day at school. I woke up drowning in pools of blood. Wait, who is that? She got blood in her hair, I really don't care. In the corner, all she do is stare. And she got a bear on her right shoulder. I hope that's her brother, that's her right shoulder. Yeah, that's the right shoulder. Death come at you like a boulder. And we don't know who did what. Berlizzi go.
Oh, hey, Nagiwagi. Genuine question. If you made it this far into the video, which one of the quote-unquote beautiful tracks do you like? I'll say mine at the end of the segment, but I just wanted to hear other people's opinions on the soundtrack in the comments. But, yeah. I just want to give a segment to appreciate all the arrangements. And that's that. All versions are cleared and not the ones that I just want to put in the video myself because it's too time consuming and perhaps I'm a student who wants some free time and maybe even a social life. Oh, come on. Really? Try being a CapCut editor for a day. Try it. putting all the versions would be so time consuming. And frankly, you can just go look it up on YouTube if I didn't put your favorite version here. Or, yeah, rendition, same thing. In all actual seriousness though, I've actually had a lot of fun making this video, and having this as like a part-time thing to do on the side. If this gets like 50 likes, I totally turn this into like a little thing, like a little series, and you guys can like ask for stuff for me to like talk about that's not widely talked about in the Danganronpa community, or other stuff. So it's really fun. Anyways, back to the actual sound design portion of the game. My favorite version of like each beautiful track and morning track is Cool Morning. I feel like out of all the V3 tracks, it definitely incorporates that new age kind of beat it kind of has when you're parading around the school as either maybe Kaede or Suichi. I just love it. It's probably my favorite one out of the whole game, apart from like maybe the segment where like everyone started escaping the sewers. I think that's a definitely runner-up for me. But next segment.
We interrupt this program for a non-sponsored promotion of a game in which I truly love and can't wait to see the finished version. This game is known as Carnage on Roblox.
Back to you, a big Monokuma whose voice sounds nothing like Brian Beacock.
Ahem! Who wrote this script? Of course I sound like the original Monokuma voice. That is the absolute GOAT!
But I just wanted to quickly interrupt this segment to promote a game in which I've been following the development of for a minute, and considering the theme of this video, I think that giving this game with little love would be pretty appropriate. As the Talking Fish had said, the game is known as Carnage. It is a Roblox Danganronpa style game in which you eliminate your fellow classmates to graduate from the academy, finding the secrets that lie within, and finding creative ways to stay alive and find a way to escape the school, all while getting hosted by the headmaster, Zebeth, who sometimes can actually be a real person if you buy a game pass that currently at the time is a lot of money, and which I personally did not purchase, but Robux purchases for this game can help for the development and speedier access to resources and all types of different stuff. I personally bought a radio. I don't use it at all, but you know what? If it helps, it helps. I'm not any way affiliated with this game, nor do I know any of the developers, but if you're ever in between waiting for Danganronpa games, you should totally try playing this to fill your time. And join the Discord, by the way. That leads us on to the next segment of the Twilight Syndrome Zone, or more so just kind of a factual interlude. I wanted to bring up points around this interview while I was researching stuff for this video regarding the brains behind Danganronpa's soundtrack, as the main composer of this game, Masafumi Takada, has a lot to say in this one. I think hearing an excerpt from an interview would be really cool, and I'm going to read that out. The syndrome part has nothing to do with the actual Twilight Syndrome murder case. I just added it because it sounded funny. The interview I'll be reading is by an author that is unfortunately unknown, and it features the main sound designer Masafumi Takada and Kazutaka Kodaka. In discussion, heat up, in parentheses. Let's start on the interview content. Dawn. Hello Takada-san and Kodaka-san. Thank you very much for speaking with us today. Kodaka-san, as the writer for the Danganronpa series, how important is the music that accompanies the games in realizing your true vision for the story? Kodaka, the music is super important, but the entire vibe of the thing is just wrong if the story and music are in sync. The music also represents the headspace of the characters. They're two sides of the same coin. Dawn, Takada-san, you have worked on a plethora of games in a multitude of genres, and musically, you've composed equally as many styles. Could you talk about some of your musical influences and musical background? Takada, when I was a kid, I learned on the electronic organ, the Electone, at Yamaha Music School. I started expressing myself through music, and the next thing I knew, I was able to pay my bills by composing tunes. Looking back, I was lucky to experiment with synthesizers while I was still impressionable. My style has kind of evolved with the technology into what it is today. Dawn, Takada-san, The music for Danganronpa Trigger Happy Havoc is an electric blend of musical styles and genres, and nothing says this more than the main theme, Danganronpa. When crafting the main theme, what sort of direction did you get from Kodaka-san in terms of how it should sound, and what were your inspirations when crafting this theme? Takada, Kodaka-san asked me for something with some punch. I guess I took the energy from his project pitch and translated it into music. All I remember about writing is I didn't have any time because I was busy with another project, so I just banged it out in 20 or 30 minutes. Afterwards, as I was cleaning up the arrangement, I had my Max Robot's voice say, Danganronpa, and I gave myself goosebumps. I can still feel them to this day. Dawn, Takada-san. One major element of the game itself are the exploration of Hope's Peak Academy, both before and after murder taking place. The music also changes up depending on which situation you are currently in. What were some of your key feelings that you wanted to convey in each of the pieces? Beautiful Days and Beautiful Dead, which I think he means death. Takada. For the exploration themes, I tried combining a variety of tones and phrases to convey to the player that big things are afoot. I think he meant big things are afoot. To me, they perfectly express the game's world itself, so just listening to them makes me feel like I've got the controller in my hands. Dawn. The other major element of the games is the trial to determine the murderer. What types of emotions did you want to craft with the music for these sections, and why? I can't speak! Did you have any challenges in creating something that fit the overall tone of the story? Takada. The class trial music is all about creating and establishing momentum. It serves the same purpose as the background music in a racing game. The voice samples ratchet up the excitement. Ratchets up? I'm sorry, this must be a mistranslation or something. So I try to make the music punchy with clear rhythms that layer well with the voice samples. Dawn. Takada-san. When crafting the music for Monokuma, what did you want to convey about the character with this theme? Psychopop shenanigans and lurking death, Takada says. Something like, we're all gonna die sooner or later, cha-cha-cha. Dawn. The second game sees a new cast of characters in a new setting. Kodaka-san. Was there anything in the particular that you wanted Takada to convey musically about the new setting and the music featured, particularly regards to exploration? Kodaka. I wanted a tropical island feel. Takada-san takes an annual vacation in Hawaii, so I don't think it was a difficult order for him. Dawn. Takada-san. What were some of the choices you made in regards to the music to differentiate the music for this game from that of the first and the inspirations behind those? Takada. I had Kodaka-san's request for a tropical feel as my base. From there, I wanted to emphasize the freedom of being under the open sky as opposed to being trapped in a building like the first game. Danganronpa 1 uses rather abrupt melodies to create a claustrophobic atmosphere. With Danganronpa 2 on the other hand, I wanted the player to feel that abundance of space. Random little side thing I'll include right here, which is a hint for the next segment. Takada. From Monami's theme, Miss Monami's practice lesson, I wanted to play with the fact that she's been converted into a partial cyborg. The character wasn't set in stone when I wrote the song, so I'd like to think that Monami developed to match her music. It's hard to catch, but the computer voice as the beginning is saying Monami, M-O-N-O-M-I. Listen for it. Personally, I don't hear Monami, but I hear I don't hear Monami. Dawn. Lastly, Takada-san, I would love to hear your thoughts on the tune Kill Command. The tune itself is quite different from the large majority of the soundtrack, yet at the same time familiar. I personally love how it incorporates the main theme of the series and the accompanying guitar riffs while the energetic guitar plays. However, what types of emotions regarding the game's story/climax were you trying to convey with this approach? Takada. Usually, when I need a guitar, I just ask my buddy, Jun Fukuda. Fukuda? I don't know how to pronounce it. I'm so sorry. I wrote the rough composition based on his playstyle, and he came up with the exact riffs I was hoping for. Something intense that builds up to the climax. Dawn. Takada-san. Seeing as this is a spin-off title, how did you approach the music to this game in making it more suitable for the difference in gameplay and having its own musical identity, yet still incorporating the feeling of the previous games in the series? Takada. When it comes to spin-offs, it's common to embellish on the base melodies, but if I did that, UDG would have sounded too plain. So I promised myself not to use any of the main melody lines. That melody is reserved for numbered sequels. I was the only one making hard for myself. The tone of each track really sets the mood, so I tried to maintain the Danganronpa series tone in the new songs. Dawn, could you reflect on some of your favorite pieces from the soundtrack and what makes them so special to you? Chikata, my favorite track is probably Ghost Stories from... if y'all want to read this, y'all can read it. But, yeah. This segment is low-key kind of already long enough, so I'm going to skip to V3. Dawn, Kodaka-san, given that the third main game of the series takes place in a new location with completely new characters, what sort of instructions did you give to Kodaka-san in order to make the soundtrack sound fresh, yet at the same time familiar to those who will follow the series since inception? Kodaka, I asked for something that sounded a bit grown-up, more adult. It came out sounding pretty jazzy. This time around, I wanted something more stylish than pop. Takada-san, from what I've heard, the soundtrack for this game seems arguably darker in tone compared to the previous game. Would you say that the setting of this game is what inspired the approach? What sorts of new additions in terms of either styles or instruments did you incorporate into the soundtrack to match the setting of the new game? Takada, I had recently moved studios, so I was working with all new equipment. I didn't plan for the tracks to come off as dark, but once I heard them in action, I have to agree. The whole thing did sound darker, probably because I was aiming to make it more, adult. Dawn, yada yada yada, rephrase this, rephrase that. Takada, to give you a quick look at my thought process, exploration music should burn itself into your brain. Trial music emphasizes rhythms with voice samples to build the hype. Character themes should have each some unique okay. Sometimes I play around with voice samples. For example, the Mono Cubs are kids, so I wanted the sound to have a sort of generation gap. I'm fond of Beautiful Eye. I'm happiest when I make this sort of track. Lastly, could both you and Kodaka-san reflect on some of your favorite pieces from the latest games in the series? Kodaka, even with all the newest tracks, the class trial music is still my favorite. It represents everything Danganronpa means to me. Chikata, the Body Discovery series are landmark inventions in the history of soundtrack music, so I vote for those. Dawn, once again, thank you Takada-san and Kodaka-san for speaking with us today about the music of Danganronpa the series. Is there any message you want to give to the fans of the series and or music in closing? Takada, I've spent the last 10 years trying to establish Danganronpa as its own genre, and I still have plenty of unused material. Kodaka, the music makes the games. Hearing the soundtrack makes me think, yeah, this is Danganronpa. So throw on the OSC from time to time and revisit the world of Danganronpa, and maybe replay them if the music moves you. How wholesome. That interview overall was a great glimpse into the insight of Kodaka and Takada. If I said Tadaka, by the way, through any point in this video, I'm so sorry. I don't know why my brain automatically translates Takada to Tadaka. I don't know where I got the D from in there. But I'm making this video before Danganronpa 2x2 comes out. So my prediction is that it's actually Danganronpa 4 and 2 times 2 equals 4. So that way, just like the V3 twist, it's literally going to be the exact same thing. Let's get that schizophrenic psycho out of here who's trying to theorize something that's definitely not going to happen. Today, ladies and gentlemen, I'm here to talk about one of my personal favorite tracks from the series, Miss Monami's Practice Lesson, as well as a bit of an extra special lesson by Mr. Monokuma. But first, I want to talk about this Yokai Watch Reject track for a second. Drawing from the interview earlier, kind of sad that he designed this track to make you feel sorry for Monami, but honestly, I think in her own way it's empowering, especially at the end. It kind of brings everything full circle, but it just really encompasses everything Usami is, known for at first, trying to instill hope in the students and make it a healing journey of what it originally was supposed to be before, In contrast to Mr. Monokuma's lesson though, Miss Monami's Practice Lesson is fun, quirky, and robotic. In stark contrast to Mr. Monokuma's lesson, it twists into a dorky menace tribal African chant. The track samples from the African Mist sound pack that I mentioned earlier and drives a light-hearted yet sinister beat with a lot of quirky synths, awkward rhythms, perfectly suiting the bear's chaotic lessons in despair. I mean, the only lessons they were really learning though was how their whole entire world got turned upside their heads and how to kill each other. Junko, you're sick and twisted for that. That's why I love you. On to the next segment. When it comes to my favorite sequential tracks in this series, we're gonna have to lay the foundation with the BTB tracks. Starting with the first one, BTB, which means bullet time battle if you didn't know. Kicks it off with a sparse driving synth bass and punchy electronic drums, building rhythmic tension in F minor for fast rebuttals. The next track, Super BTB, amps it up. Layered synth leads, distorted stabs, and complex 7 suspended chords that create above average chord complexity. 93 out of 100 to be exact. It's the middleman out of Super Final BTB and BTB, which, by the way, the next one is in fact called Super Final BTB. The track combines all previous track elements from BTB, Super BTB, and crescendoing with the flute chasing throughout the whole entire rebuttal. Tickles my balls. Anyways, now that we're actually in the class trial, let's examine what I think are arguably some of the most peak sound design moments in this game. Starting the class trial saga off with a punch, Class Trials' Chaos version revs it up as accusations fly. Intensity explodes through escalating versions, like the Sun. It stabs distorted synth leads, razor-sharp hi-hats, and driving breakbeats that mirror your racing pulse during the tense non-stop debates in which you're trying to cut through the words to find out the lie. This makes perfect segue to the next track, which is Dawn Edition, which you heard a little bit earlier. This track lays the chilling foundation. Brooding electronic synth pads, deep pulsing bass lines, and mechanical drum machine percussion's intense minor keys that creates claustrophobic dread in the courtroom doors close. It's really intimidating when you have to figure out somebody's alibi and make sure that everything lines up, or else you all died. The peak hits in the bombastic discussion, hope versus despair, stacking chaotic melodies and heavy percussion drops for pure psychopop adrenaline, horror wrapped in danceable hype. Danganronpa 2 brightens the formula a little bit in the Class Trial Future Edition, with bouncier rhythms and tropical tinged synths, and with V3's Space Edition, both add groovier jazz piano riffs, massive bass drops, and heavily processed voices, turning each courtroom into an EDM battlefield. To be honest, I'd argue that these class trial tracks define the series as a whole, and some of them honestly, especially in the earlier games, made the series into what it's known for today. I mean, when you think Danganronpa, you usually think court trials and killings. I really love the added tension and the added perspective that these tracks give while you're actively trying to fight for your life to make sure everyone gets out alive. Once again, Takata cooked. Now it's time for our last section. What an absolutely lovely melody, ladies and gentlemen. We've reached the end of the line. Last stop is in the background of Towa City's subway. It has taken me hours upon days to edit this for you guys, and it's less than an hour, and I'm actually really happy about that. I got to my goal, and I just want to throw in a couple honorable mentions for you guys, for the people that don't feel seen. So, I'll make this somewhat quick. Let's get started for our first honorable mention of PTA. Its succession counterparts being Hyper PTA and Hyper Ultra PTA. Now, I already explained this a bit earlier with the BTB tracks, but I just wanted to throw these in here because I love SDR2. These tracks add that new definition, that new twist. The synths, the production, everything is on point with the progression tracks of these songs. It's like a refreshed BTB, obviously, but with the new, fresh psychopop island coding. And at the time of writing this right now, I really hope those tracks make it into the SDR2 remake, which will be 2x2. And speaking of the Danganronpa 2 soundtrack, we actually have 2 more songs from it, with our first one being from the ultimate musician herself, Ibuki Mio Da. Put it together and what do you get? Ibuki Miyoda. In her defense, I see a lot of discourse around this track online, saying that this doesn't fit her at all in any type of way, and this song is actually trash, which I completely disagree. It may just be because of my types and genres and styles of music, but honestly, this fits her so well, even knowing the person that she is and how she, like, just look at her, like, come on now. It is absolutely gnarly. Production on this track is tough as hell, and it goes hard as shit. I ain't gonna hold you. But that leads us to our next and last Danganronpa 2 soundtrack track of Oshiki Fly Helicopter. Seeing Terra get absolutely roasted, toasted, and deep fried, laid to the mother freaking side in the first execution was something else entirely. Poor boy was just trying to see Mama Hanamura and unfortunately got deep fried into a roasted rotisserie chicken in the process. But hey, music slaps, and honestly, his execution set the tone and the feel for the upcoming chapters that we would later see, and how each song would have their own special and individual twist on it. Oh, SDR2, the absolute GOAT of the sequel you are. As for our last closing track though, here's to Closing Argument. This track loops perfectly as you're trying trial and error to piece together the broken scenes and fragmented little cutouts you see, as you slowly see the killer's initiative and motive play out, as our protagonist as either Hajime, Shuichi, or Makoto. I don't know if Kaede ever explained her thingy in a closing argument, but I'm not going back and checking because my memory's kind of foggy and whatever. All I have to say about this is the art style is absolutely amazing, and they should totally make a comic series out of this. But you didn't think I forgot about the last track, did you? That's right. It's the re-upped version of Closing Argument, the New World Order, if you will. I love this track for the same reasons that I do for Closing Argument, but this time, every single time you hear this in the background, it's with some confrontation, a splice of hope. They play it a lot in the anime, like a lot in the anime, but it hits where it counts. So I'd like to leave it on that note as we look into the horizon and wait for the next time I upload a video. Thank you so much for watching, and twin, press that subscribe button, maybe even drop a little like. I really hope to see you in the next one. Peace out.